So your talk a few minutes ago was amazing, and you mentioned environment is stronger than willpower.
Yep.
Right. So you said to me a lot of times over the years, and I get it backwards sometimes, but unpack that and tell me exactly what that means for our listeners.
Yeah. So the great dance of life is us standing in our autonomy and understanding we're part of one.
Right. Okay.
Right. So there is my individual self, and then there's a collective self.
Yeah.
Right. And so the thing that, and we're harmonious people, like we all like to harmonize things, right? And women, even women, you put a bunch of women in a room over time, their menstrual system will all harmonize, right? So it's the same thing with environments, is that are we in an environment that is going to pull us down, which requires us to increase our vibration so that we can stand above that? Or are we in an environment that's going to call us forward?
Okay.
Right? And just like some of the things that I've been personally experiencing, listening to some of the people down there, like someone that's making 6 figures, that's where they're at. Well, the way to do that is get up to somebody that's making 7 figures. Right? And then you're at 7 figures and get to an environment that makes 8 and 9. Like each one of them, it just being in an environment that is expanding you. And so me personally, what I've been experiencing going through this is like, it's profound. Like your environment is everything. Birds of a feather flock together. Like I've heard that all my life and not really understanding the power of it. Right? Because am I in a place where I can share an idea? And how is that idea going to land on my environment? Has a lot to do with how that idea becomes a manifestation.
Right.
If I'm in an environment like, what are you thinking? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Or if I share and like, dude, that's amazing. Let's partner. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Totally different way of having that thought come to life.
Yeah. So I have a question. In just watching my children over the last couple of days, weeks, months, years, and people in general, right? It's like we're designed to always think of a negative outcome before we even get into the actual experience, right? Why are people more geared to going to, well, this won't happen or I can't versus I will or this is going to happen? Like, why is that negative? I mean, even with parents like my wife and I who are very, very positive, there's still that negative thing that our kids lead with.
Right.
Why is that in our human nature? If it's our human nature.
Right. Well, because we're living in a survival mechanism, right? Which is our body. Even our brain, and I don't know all the high dollar big words that they use, but basically a negative thought will land in our conscious or in our thought process more like Velcro. A positive thought is more like on Teflon that just slides. And so, you know, and if you look at how we're designed, I think that's brilliant, right? Because it to hang on to the negative and the positive just slips off, that requires us to put more intention and focus on captivating that moment of what was positive, right? So the reason the negative is it becomes more of what we access default is because we want to protect ourselves. We don't want to experience the pain. Right? So we are constantly looking for how do I avoid experiencing that pain? Right? Like what I said down there, the number one industry, the most profitable industry in the world is pain. Right? So we don't want to experience that, but the opportunity for us is to recognize we're the ones that are creating the pain by how we interpret everything.
Right. So in saying that, you know, this probably won't happen or I'm not going to get it, it's setting yourself up. So when that does happen, you already know, you already have that protection against pain.
Right. Yeah, and what creates disappointment is our expectations. Right? And see, this is the part that a lot of people don't get, and it's taken me decades to figure it out. Get to this of how we characterize what we're going to expect. We have to hold space that way.
Tell me more about that.
So if I expect you, like you have a certain presence about who you are, and if I have something in my past that I had encountered somebody that carries himself or is the package that you are, I'm going to access that. And out of that, I'm going to judge you. Now I judge you that way. Now I got to hold space for you that way. And if I believe that you are going to harm me, guess what? I'm coming in as a defense already,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it is, right? And so my energy is going to impact you.
Yeah.
And the probability of me recreating what I experienced in the past is high.
Yeah. So how does all this equate to being entrepreneurs? Because just in the room, a few people are just getting started, but most of them, 6, 7, 8 figure earners down there who are doing millions.
Right.
And even in the point where they're making money, they're still impacted by what you said.
Mm-hmm.
So is all of this, I know it affects your income, right? But
yeah.
How important is this that the entrepreneurs get a hold of these concepts and how this can change their life? Because if it changes their life, it changes their income, even though they're at a certain point where they're making money now.
Right.
So if they're going, so I'm assuming that what they're doing now is that they're operating out of survival right now, right? But once they get this, they will skyrocket and go 10 figures, right? So talk to me about the importance of them getting that.
Yeah, so great question. And one of them shared, like, once you have the freedom that you're not focused on making money anymore, like what he said, we get so focused on making money that that's what we're consumed by that, right? Yeah. But once you get to a certain point, and this is levels of understanding, I didn't get an opportunity to talk about that, but once you're not motivated by money anymore, then you've got to start finding something else to motivate you. Right? And so again, like I mentioned down there yesterday, was profit. If you start looking at profit as managing energy, right? And looking at the thing that I've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs, myself, like high achievers, all that, is what is motivating you, right? So if I'm motivated to move away from pain, that's going to cause a breakdown down the road. It has to, right? Anything that's created out of fear is setting up something to be dismantled later, right? Wow. So if I'm moving away from pain and I get far enough away from it, I'm going to lose my motivation.
Right.
So I'm going to create a sabotage, whatever, right? I'm going to create whatever to re-motivate me again. But if I do it in a way that I am moving towards something, this is way more consistent than this. This is inconsistent, right? Because it's the oscillation of up and down. And that's the thing that, like, the consistent story I've heard behind everything that everybody is saying is success is not an overnight journey. Right? Like, some of them has taken years and years and years and years. Like the one shared, it took 12 years. 12 years to have a 7-figure year. Right? And everybody looks at that. But see, people need to make sense of their pain. Right? So somebody that doesn't understand that journey, like, oh, it must be nice to be so rich, or it's so nice to have success, but they need to make sense of their current experience. And not understanding. And again, that's why it's so important to have people to have these kind of opportunities to see, like, some of the stories we've heard here, dude, are like, whoa.
They're mind blowing. And you wouldn't think that even though they're at a certain level, they still want to experience certain emotional, I don't want to say issues, but emotional experiences.
Right.
It's still there, but it's just getting past and like breaking past those barriers and those strongholds. And I think that's important. I mean, if you get it like while you're starting, it will make your journey to whatever your goal is a lot easier instead of just waiting, because there's also gonna be roadblocks and hurdles, but what you do is simply amazing. You've changed a lot for me. So a lot for me.
And what you said though, and I want to just leave with this because it's super important. Our ability to expand and contract based on context is mission critical. Right? Because sometimes we can expand to 85% of lottery winners file bankruptcy in 5 years, right? Because it expands too quick, right? So it's having that flexibility of where do I expand, where do I contract? Like COVID, some people pulled back, right? And I had some mentors saying, okay, cut back expenses. Very high profile coaches, like I was paying her a lot of money, and as soon as COVID hit, she says, pull back. I got another coach that's 8-9 figure guy, and he's saying double down. Right? So you've got to know, where do I expand? Where do I contract? Right? And really, how do you interpret that information? So this has been incredible experience. Tons and tons of great knowledge.
And it's still going on. And I know I pulled you out of a very important session, so I want to get you back in, because I know you're here to not just teach, but to also learn
Absolutely.
as well, too.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming up for a few minutes, but let's get you back in and learn, brother.
All right, man.
Thank you, man.
Brother.
Appreciate you.
See ya. Yeah, appreciate you.